Well, hello! Been a while since I talked to you. Last video I did Blueberry Crunch, and I had some things happen, lost some footage here and there on some other stuff, so here I am right before New Year's. Happy belated Christmas and happy soon-to-be New Year to you. I have been tinkering around the shed. I built this little arcade over here in the corner using a RetroPie kind of setup and everything, but I also got some mail from a good friend, Beer-n-BBQ by Larry. Everybody should be fairly familiar with who Larry is in the brewing community, especially, and the barbecue community. But he sent out some packages to a few friends, and I was one of the lucky ones to receive one. And so we're gonna dig in, talk about what he sent. And while we're at it, we'll talk about the whole concept of like art, right? So we'll talk about the art thing while we try out Larry's bourbon stout. Got a little logo on there and everything. Very nice. So we're gonna try this out. It did have a little bit of leakage on it, but stouts don't have to be super carbonated anyways. As a rule of thumb, it shouldn't be super carbonated. And I also got some of his Habango homemade Tabasco sauce. I think that's Tabasco, right? Actually, it's got habanero, red Melrose, havasu, mango, white wine vinegar, garlic, and salt. So it's not actually Tabasco. I think it's not. Larry, you can correct me in the comments, but this sounds incredibly delicious, and I can't wait to dig in on this later on a dish or two. I am a big fan of sauces in general. So let's go ahead and pop this can. If I can get my... Still had a hiss to it. Oh yeah. Gotta enjoy my bourbon stout in the tulip glass. Need a nice wide rim glass for this one, just so you can pick up on all the notes. Oh, Larry, that's a beautiful beer, man. Oh, look at that head. Yeah. Whatever little bit of carbonation I lost, didn't lose much, because look at that. Ooh, she's just beautiful. Need to put a light behind it. Let's try that. It's dark though. It's got kind of a brownish hue to it. I don't know if you can see that or not. You see, she's kind of like a caramel brownish color to it. Very dark beer, but it's beautiful, man. Let's check out the smell on it. Oh wow, I can smell the bourbon hardcore. It's like a sweeter bourbon, like a, man, I don't even know. It's a straight bourbon though. It smells like a straight bourbon. Larry, this smells incredible, man. This smells absolutely incredible. The bourbon's on the nose hard. I made a bourbon barrel stouts last year around the winter time. You couldn't smell the bourbon like this though. It did not hit your nose like this. Cheers. I've been looking forward to this, man. Wow. This is incredibly good, Larry. I'm gonna have to, he made the recipe public, so I'm gonna have to try taking a swing at this one. And in his video, he talked about it being, he started out with like dragon's milk, kind of as like the base idea of the beer. And he kind of took it and just modified it and everything. But like I say, he's got videos posted. I'll put the links down below to those. He posted a video actually making the beer. He made a video canning the beer. He talks all about the whole process of making this particular beer. But man, I would love to trade beers with any brewers out there, YouTube, whatever. I like trading beers with local home brewers. I haven't done that in quite some time, but I'm also open to beer trade by mail. But this is great. So I went to Alabama. I won't steal too much of your time here. I went to Alabama for like a pre-Christmas Christmas, and It rained the whole trip there, but you know, while I'm driving, you know, when you're driving, you start like kind of like contemplating things, and one of the things I started thinking about is like how I have this like shed back here in my backyard where you can hear the dogs barking because it's just a shed. But I have a shed back here and I do my craft in. My craft room, per se. Now, that's up for debate, right? Is brewing beer a craft? Is it an art? I think so. Where I'm going with this is, like, I started thinking about, like, when I was a kid, and my grandfather, not by blood, but it was a stepfather's father, and he kind of was more of a grandfather to me than any other grandparents. And he had a shed in his backyard, but his shed was for woodworking. And he did all kinds of cool, ornate things. I've got a guitar with all like a nature carving in it because I play guitar as well. He's got some art pieces and everything, just straight. He was just sit in his chair and whittle away sometimes, or he'd be out in his shed doing some of the bigger projects. Like he carved the big carousel horse for the Montgomery Fair in Montgomery, Alabama. So he was very much a man of his craft, and he had a shed and he did all his crafting and stuff in there. And so I had these like fond memories in my mind of just thinking about how I've kind of developed the same kind of idea is except my craft is creating booze. So, but it is an art. It's an art. I'm not just in here throwing something together just for the sake of drinking. As a matter of fact, I don't drink that much. But when I do enjoy art, craft. And Larry, this is definitely art. I was watching Larry well before I was doing YouTube. And that man needs to hit 100,000 subscribers. He's been fighting the YouTube current of putting out all the other BS creators out there. But we need to bump Larry up as much as we can because he's so close to that 100,000 mark. I think he deserves a YouTube button at this point. But it is an art. It's definitely an art. It's like cooking, right? Like you throw stuff together and it comes out incredibly delicious and everybody talks about it, or you throw something together and it's awful and everybody talks about it. But brewing, winemaking, brewing, distilling, all of it is an art. And you have to do things just right to create this perfect work of art, right? And then you have people that come over that aren't brewers or whatever, and they drink your beer and they either really like it or they don't. But when they like it, especially the traditional Budweiser drinker or Coors drinker or whatever, they all of a sudden realize there's a whole nother world of beer out there. And I have noticed, I've been brewing beer since 2013, around there, and it's almost 10 years. And Larry's been brewing longer than me, but you've seen a lot of people just kind of fall by the wayside of it and just not do it anymore. Or I've noticed even like analytics that the brewing side has taken pretty good hit as far as viewership and all goes, but I still put these videos out because one, I enjoy making them, and at the end of the day that's what matters. And two is I've gotten so much better, I think, at like video angles and everything for these brewing videos. And I do like to cook as well. It's just 2022 was kind of like I just wasn't inspired to do a whole lot of cooking, and I really didn't do a whole lot of cooking here at the house either, like off camera. But I'm hoping here in 2023 I can do a little more cooking as well. But there's just like some fond memories I just wanted to share with you guys. Like you start to think, as you get older and you start thinking back on like your childhood, and you start thinking about things you're doing and things you experienced, and I got to thinking about how like I'm a jack of many trades but a master of none of them, if that makes sense. Like I can brew beer to my satisfaction anyways, and anybody that drinks them typically likes them. I'm not the hardest beer critic by any means, I'm not afraid to go outside the box and try something new. But yeah, I feel like this is my craft, right? This is like when COVID hit. When COVID hit, I thought, well, I'm not going to run out of beer because I can make my own, right? Everybody starts thinking like survival mode, right? Like, what are you good at? What are you going to barter to survive, right? Is that like where you? I know I'm kind of going abstract, but like when you think about like COVID and everybody felt like what's going on? It's like the end of the world, and it's like, well, this guy works on cars really well. I might trade this dude some beers if he likes beer in exchange for car repairs, you know? Or this guy's really good at making bread. Or this woman over here is really good at baking cookies or whatever, floral arrangements, you know, just all the trades, all these different things that we do as hobbies could end up becoming survival skills. Like somebody that's really good at planting and growing a garden, you know. I can kind of do that, but I definitely don't have a green thumb. But yeah, I was just thinking, well, I got plenty of beer ingredients to get me through in case there's a shortage of grain or whatever because the truck's not running or whatever. But yeah, you just start to think like art, right? You think everybody's got an art, and there's if you look into it enough, there's an art in everything. And God, this beer, I wish you guys could smell this because it's so sweet. It's sweet, milky, creamy smell to it. Like, it's just so good smelling, man. Larry, you kicked my ass at making bourbon stouts, man. And I'm actually going to try yours. I'm going to try and do yours, and I'm going to video it because I want to see if I even come remotely close to this. This is very smooth. It tastes very creamy. It's got like lactose or oats in it or something. It is so good. I could drink a lot of these here in the winter, and I should have made a stout for the winter because it's the go-to beer for the winter time. Anyways, enough of my hardcore rambling. I just wanted to share a little bit of beer mail with you. I got some sauce to try that I probably will be talking about on camera here soon as well. And canning's a cool concept. You'll never get me to can. I have had beers leak in bottles in shipment, but I usually package the bottles real well that they don't break. It's usually something dumb like a cap pops off or something. But yeah, more power to those of you guys more power to you that can your beers. I'm just not looking at that upfront cost to do it. And plus you get like all these cans, you got a big box of cans you got to have laying around and find a place to put. And then the actual canning process I'm not a big fan of because like you got a beer gun it in and then you got to put the cap on and whereas with my bottling system, I put the ball on there, it seals real good, any excess, there's no leaks or nothing, I just put it on there, fill up and go, man. And then I can reuse bottles, so I'm not really buying bottles. I just wash, sanitize, and fill. Anyhow, cheers. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next as far as the video goes. I want to do some cooking for sure this year, more cooks, and brewing. I want to do some more stovetop brews actually with my claw hammer starter set. I want to do some extract stovetop cooks or brewing with my claw hammer system, and then I'm going to convert it to work with the electric controller behind the camera there. So, but yeah. So cheers, guys. If I don't talk to you or talk at you sooner, Happy New Year. Merry belated Christmas once again. And I've just been a little camera shy these days. I don't know. I just needed a moment to not do anything, I guess. But I'm not going anywhere. Cheers, guys. Thank you, Larry, once again. Much appreciated, brother. This is incredibly good beer. Inspires me to step it up a little bit and make some decent stouts. That's a killer beer. So